When I hear the word trap, it makes me think of
hustle.
Drugs, gangs.
Traveling to sleep at night.
robbery, an area in the hood,
Like the streets is a trap.
People trap to make more money.
liquor stores.
Abandoned houses. Trying to get money. When I hear the word trap, what pops in my head is
Anything like it takes their minds off of education, school, or trying to achieve their goals in life.
Yourself can keep you trapped if you don't expose yourself to allow yourself to grow.
Trap is designed to catch something. And if you don't know the trap is there, what ends up happening, you step in it unconsciously.
Like the black community, they don't expect us to do, like get out. That's why we would call it a trap.
Yes, the community, the society, everybody plays their part in kind of like helping the trap maintain itself. Some of them put bait in the trap. They just throw bait down there to get people trapped. And people don't know it's a trap, so they just go for the bait. The bait here is money.
When I was trapped, or the day looked like it right here on this block, standing here and just waiting for somebody to come by. What you need, nickels, dimes, like try to get off where I can get off, re-up a little bit, try to get that off, and call it a day, I try to get the most off I can, and that was that. Go home, go to sleep, eat, smoke, drink, whatever, wake up and do it again. I might have been out here from maybe 10 this morning, 7 o'clock, taking a little eat breaks, smoke break, and that's about it, and stay out here till 7, go home.
For an individual who has fallen into the idea that, they can make it by hustling in the street, and let's say that they have this hustle that puts them at greater risk for incarceration. So he hustles for 3 years and he gets his paper, he does what he has to do, but at the end of 3 years, he gets locked up and he gets incarcerated for 3 years. The simple math will tell you if you made $50,000 in 3 years and you divide it by 3, it would have been easier for you to get a job at McDonald's. So you put the bait in the trap. The return is that if I catch you, I get 5 times amount return on that money. That's what it is. So you can find corrections on Wall Street to make investments. We're not seeing the long-term effect of what's going on because we're living short-term. So if you live short term, if you kind of like just living from day to day, if you're not thinking about what are the possibilities and seeing yourself in those possibilities, the trap is renewing itself every day.
People are sometimes oblivious to the situation. Like at the end of the day, when you out here doing what you do, you're not thinking I'm setting myself up.
Some of the things that happen after you get released and when you're trying to do better for yourself, like me, I want to enlist in the military. And they say, being that I'm a convicted felon, I can't sort of do that as of right now until I get a waiver pass, all these other things like that. I'm currently on parole right now, and that's sort of a problem between being a convicted felon and also being on parole.
If we're all equal, then how do you decide who's the person that cleans up your store? How do you decide the person that you makes your sandwiches? How do you decide that if we're all equal? Why? I decide that by the choices that you make. So when you make a choice, 10 years later, I can tell you what, you can't get this job, you can't get this license because when you were 15, you did that.
The first role model that a child has is in the home. And if they see a parent who may be doing behaviors that's not positive, that's what they gravitate towards, especially if there's a pattern growing up they have all seen. Their judgment is that's their world. If there's drugs in the home or negative behaviors in the home, the child will model it because they'll model their parents. The parenting part is very important for the foundation of the youngster so they can then begin to make wise decisions based on knowledge that comes from a safe place versus the street where it may not have their best interest at heart.
As I stood out here, with my friends and we had a little weed in our pocket thinking that we was gonna make millions, it's not really knowing that. When you get older, you look back at, situations and everything and you be like, damn, what was I thinking? I think young dudes should learn from the mistakes of people that came before them. Like, ain't nothing new under the sun. You ain't gonna sit here and make $1 million off of, telling dubs. It's not happening. You're selling 3.5s. It's not gonna happen.
So you may have $500 a day. For the next 2 weeks, you may have maybe $50 in your pockets, maybe. You know, so that's really not, you know, in the short term, you see the money, but it's kind of like it's just there. It's going to disappear tomorrow. That's what the real illusion is. It's going to disappear. And you got to find new ways of getting it.
Even recognizing that, you know, there's not going to be a society without violence, without guns or drugs. It's what we do. What part do we play in that process to be successful or not successful? That's why I think parents are so important to the well-being, because if the parents have structure, support for their children, and know where they are and keep them busy, it's going to be more successful. But when you're a youngster who may not have that support at home, unfortunately, it leads for more community imitation that may not be positive.
The trap is more about just, just trapping you physically. It's about trapping your brain. We're the ones that we don't even understand. We don't see it until it's too late. You know, we sit out here, we sell drugs, we rob, kill each other to buy things that people go to work for. You know, we sit here, put our life on the line every day to get a pair of products that someone that just went to work and now he can buy them.
So the trap is it's a lesson. You know what I'm saying? It would teach you that, you know, if you stay where you at, you're gonna be trapped for a very long time. You gotta put in your own perspective that, you know, trap is not where I wanna be. Trap is where I want to get out of.
Some people that's trapped in the hood, they've been in their hood for so long that they only know how to act in the hood.
Some people are going to get caught in the trap. They are. But it doesn't mean it's over.
You cannot jump out of it. You know what I mean? You have to work hard to get out of it.
Starting your own business would be the best way to exit a trap. Because being in a trap, they want you to stay in one area. But if you go into your own business and your business does well, then exiting and starting a life for yourself will become that much easier.
If you want to get on a good path, you gotta find a new path yourself and ask other people to help you out or seek new things, not the same old things you had in the past. There's help all around us. We just have to look for it. It would not come to us just by, hand out. We have to be the one to want it.
You find out, try to find some programs, more like Safe Space or Queen's Justice Corps, to change your life if you want to change your life.
Justice Corps is really designed for young men and women between the ages of 18 and 24 who have found themselves involved in the criminal justice system in some shape, form, or fashion. That could be anything from being incarcerated to being locked up on Rikers Island for a day, being picked up, jumping turnstiles, whatever it is. My idea is to help people see the trap. And then you make the choice you need to make. Because I'm not gonna tell you what choice to make, but I'm gonna alert you that kind of like, there's a trap there, watch out, step over it if you can.
I am a member of Queen's Justice Corps, which is also a part of Cases in Safe Space. We do community benefit projects and we volunteer our time to help out the community. Occasionally we speak out about stuff that is going on with the youth, with people our age that affects us and our future.
This program allowed me to get my GED. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I would have been able to get my GED anywhere else because, they did a lot of things for me and they looked out for me and accommodated me in certain areas that I really needed help in. I benefited from it, I could say a lot in multiple ways. Like they allowed me to get an internship, they allowed me, prepare me with work readiness skills.
The program works with families in the community of Jamaica, Far Rockaway and the Ozone area. There are some times where our teenagers are more harder to engage, so it does mean more work to get them engaged into a program and keep them consistently going to the program.
If you see this trap, it's like walking down the street and there's a manhole cover open and you see the manhole cover open and you fall into it, then kind of like you contribute to that in a certain way. If it was covered up, it had a blanket over or something like that, then kind of like it's a trap that you can't see. But if you can see the trap and you fall into it, what does it say about the decision process makers we're making? That's really what's important here.
How did I get out? I think it was just realizing the game, seeing things for what it was. I started, reading more. I had a year where I lost 7 friends in 1 year. So it was like, all right, listen, okay, maybe I gotta slow my roll. And I had somebody, try to kill me. So it was like, okay, start seeing friends doing, you know, certain things, you know, running out here, robbing people, shooting people, you know, selling drugs, getting locked up, and you realize, like, it's the trap, but we always do it. We all run into it, like, you know, just questioning why are we doing what it is that we're doing. As I got older, I started figuring, like, damn, why I don't really got to, like, why am I doing this? Why am I standing out here for, you know, this little nickel and dime money? But once you start learning, once you get knowledge, then you start thinking, and you start seeing things for what they really are.
So if I'm looking 3 years down the road and I'm saying, you know something, I need to kind of increase my education so I can really get paid down the road, and I'm looking at, then I can see the traps lined up because I know which way I'm going. But if every day I get up and I'm saying I'm trying to figure out something new, what I'm going to do, then there may be a new trap for me because I really haven't had a plan set out. I might come out tomorrow and say, you know something, I think I want to get my GED. So I get up in the morning, I'm trying to get my GED. The trap here is my homeboy who says, come on, son, they got something going on over here. Let's run down the block and do such and such and such. That's a small trap. I may be knowledgeable to the fact that I got to get this GED, so I may decline that particular trap because I have some other stuff going on. Or I might say, you know something, I'm going to skip school today because I'm going to deal with this, but it may lead to some other outcomes that you may not expect. It's a trap, you know, and you have to recognize that you have to actually tell yourself, what is my goal?
A lot of what happens with the trap, it's not so much that where, okay, you get under the box and they pull a string and you're stuck under the trap. It starts from, a lot of it comes from parenting, and then, cause it starts with your moral values. Your home values, what you get from your parents. And then right after you get your home values, from about age 7, you go out and get your social values. And a lot of people, their home values is left so incomplete that the majority of their values that they get as adults or as young adults is social values, so what they learn from their peers. And some is just forced into what's going on around them because there's no other choice.
When a parent is really engaged with the family, with our help or any help, they can strengthen the family, but they are 100% have to be there.
You don't have to beat nobody in the head. You don't have to convince anybody that kind of like this is what you really want to do. You just be you. And you start at that premise. And then you find somebody to kind of like really have a conversation with who's not judgmental, who respects your decisions, who can offer you insight into kind of like what will happen or what should happen or what can happen, and then kind of like take that information and you make a decision for your own life. But you need that kind of support.
But even when you fall down, because you have that inner strength of I'm gonna make it because you will make it. And what I find, the more you have that, the more people around you will see it and want to be a part of your growth, to push you up on their shoulders.
If you decide kind of like I want to get to point A to point B and it's going to take me, it may take me a year to get there. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. Recognize that it's a process.
It's all about exposure. It's all about, you know, the people that you hang around. If somebody truly care about you, if I care about you, I'm not gonna give you this gun and, you know, put that gun in your hand and tell you, son, you go out there and get that money.
So our young people are the driving force for everything that's gonna happen tomorrow. But to get there, they have to overcome these traps.
You know, it's the realization, like, I want more than this, you know, I want better. So I got the best education when I got out of high school. For everything that you learn in high school, you know, I learned more when I got to college. Like, yo, they never told me that when I was in high school. Like, so, you know, education is vital because it allows you to compete. Some of the best cars you'll ever see is at the hospital. You know what I mean? Some of the lawyers and doctors got the best cars ever, but we out here hustling, you know, to get the same things that other people wake up every day for. And the reason why they're able to buy those things is because they went to school. And at the end of the day, I understand sometimes people gotta eat. I get that. But what are you doing, you know, to change your predicament? What are you doing so that you don't have to?
Truly think about the choices that you make and weigh out the consequences of the choices that you make. And think about it, not in short term, about the here and now. Think about it in later on down the line. Because when you rush through and you do things and then you later on gotta deal with the consequences and also the unseen consequences, it's not worth the choices that you made.
I would hope that you don't want to be arrested, because being arrested seems like that's what's cool now, which it really isn't.
I just got my master's in May in public administration from John Jay, and I'm actually going to law school in September. Now I work with the young men in the Justice Scholars Program. I'm trying to help young dudes 16 to 24 that have made similar mistakes, and some have made worse mistakes. I'm trying to help them better themselves.
And 20 years from now, do I still want to be doing the same things? Do I want my kids, to be doing what I did, or do I want them to look up to what I did? It's all about you wanting to change. If you don't want to change, then you're really not going to change. Someone could tell you all the things you want, but if you don't want it for yourself, nothing's really going to happen.
Young people will find a way to overcome the trap. What they're going to do is stick a stick in it. They can walk through it. It won't slam on them, because they come with a set of skills that is kind of like more advanced than these little traps they got to catch them in. That trap really, once exposed, is no match for an individual who has maneuvered his world and looks at it like a joke once he sees it. Like, wow, that's slick. You see a little trap down there? That's nothing. If young people begin to understand that kind of like you don't have to fall in the trap, you actually possess the power to change the world, the framework of the world, just by the way you think, just by the way you do things, just by the way you talk, you dress, just by the way you relate to things. You change the world. But you got to put the work in. You can't do it easy.
If you have a store, you need people to go to your store. You advertise so people come to your store and buy your merchandise. But if jail is a business, there is no advertisement, there is no sales, so how do I get people to come? That's the trap.
So it really is about your belief system, and hold on to that. Hold on to it, because that's going to make you successful or not.